Timecode Cowboys, the best podcast of all motherfucking time.
Yeehaw! Here we are, back in the saddle again. It's our 10th episode. We're 10 episodes old.
We're celebrating our 10th anniversary.
We're celebrating our 10th anniversary in the only way we know how to celebrate our 10th anniversary, which is...
Do another podcast.
Doing another pod. But also, we wanted to bring it back to basics on this one. We had floated the idea always of doing our 10th just you and me, because we've had a lot of guests on. But in the run-up to recording this, you know, we had a couple different concepts of like what we might get into.
I think I still had a very valuable idea.
Well, let's not give it away because we might keep it as a back pocket.
All right.
But we kind of just decided to go straight off the dome, let it rip, just go freestyle, spitball.
I would phrase that a little bit differently.
Yeah.
You kind of decided that's what we were going to do.
But I think it's good.
I'm down to do it, but it was not a discussion.
Well, it was just sort of like in the final moments, I called an audible as we were setting up, and I went, you know what, let's just go into this cold. So we're kind of calling this our grab bag, free-for-all, catch-all episode.
Yeah, what's going on right now?
Exactly.
What are we thinking about?
We have no show notes. We're coming in cold. We're just going to do this.
We are going to see F1, which maybe
Yes.
the next solo one we talk about that.
Yeah, and we had mentioned maybe getting into Grand Prix, which is a great John Frankenheimer film.
Yeah,
from
it could
the
be
60s.
a combo.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, definitely we got to do a
grandfather
pairing.
of F1.
It is, but in many ways, like a very modern film because I rewatched it recently.
I agree.
Just in
It's
terms
really
of,
good.
it's one of these funny things too, where you watch Grand Prix.
It's too long.
It's too long, but it was also the era in which
They were trying to make long
so they're
movies.
making big, you know, bloated movies because that's what they figured they could differentiate on. My thing on Grand Prix is that I remember watching it with you and distinctly kind of feeling like this was a very modern kind of present day style because it's done with split screens and it's really kind of quick cutting and it, you know, the racing sequences, which are the best parts of the film. I mean, there is a narrative, but it's ultimately kind of pales in
It's
comparison.
like a love triangle thing,
It's
right?
like it's a Yves Montand and James
the
Brolin and there's an Italian guy who's also. It's like three drivers and they're sort
No,
of.
not James Brolin. It was
James Garner.
James Garner. Yeah.
Sorry to the Brolin
He would have
fan.
been in diapers.
Was it James Brolin who was in Capricorn 1?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good movie.
That's a really good
See,
movie.
this is why this is fun is because you
Good
kind of
cold
just
opening.
You just
which
let
was
it go.
my idea.
Okay, so
Cold openings.
to spoil the surprise, we were initially going into this with the sort of guideline of only talking about movies with really, really stellar cold openings. You know, what do we constitute that as? Just sort of like the first 5 minutes.
Opening sequence.
Yeah, you know. And it doesn't need to be like a la Bond where you just have an opening sequence and then
Just
credits.
good hooks.
Just good hooks.
Yeah.
But it felt like the homework required for that, plus the sort of constraints of that. I mean, personally,
We'll do it.
we'll do it eventually. But I was just like, let's just
I think that
freestyle.
would be a cool.
How are you doing? I feel like we're 10 episodes in. It's a good time to reflect and look back. You know, we're sort of like a mini decade old.
I'm doing really well right
Yeah.
now. Actually, I'm enjoying doing this, and these are fun because they're easy when it's just us. Not that having a guest is not easy, but it's a different animal.
It is, and I think we've been talking about this too, and in the effort of transparency for what we're doing, like we're selfishly getting people on that we just want to kind of chop it up with regardless, that we admire or we're friends with, and so it is a chance to just dialogue with people in kind of a more substantive way. But
Yeah, it takes us in directions that
yeah,
we probably wouldn't normally
I
go.
do miss kind of this aspect of it too, and we were saying like, I think we just had a run of a lot
I think
of
for every
guests.
4, 3 of them should be like this.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, again, guys, we're encouraging you to kind of reach out in on our social channels, comments, DMs, like let us know what you're responding to.
Yeah, what we should be talking about or not talking about.
Exactly. I mean, we have our own sort of you know, instincts and agenda in terms of like what we want to cover and where we want to go, but yeah, we're open notes and we like taking this thing in directions that we don't necessarily expect. Oh, you okay?
Yeah, I am.
I think in the effort of like just freestyling here, I brought something.
Yeah,
on
let's
the
talk
show.
about what you actually wanted to
Yeah.
talk about.
Yeah, so you know, not only because we're the Timecode Cowboys and Cowboys, you know, speaks volumes in terms of westerns and cinema lore. But I'm wearing this hat today because I recently went to Kernville, and I went to the River Kern, and it's you know, it's up kind of northeast of Bakersfield. And I stayed up there, didn't camp, but stayed in a nice B&B, sort of kind of glamped, I guess.
All right.
I mean, it was a house. But I went outside a lot. I did a lot of hikes. And then I went to this local museum that's a volunteer-run museum. And they had an incredible array of ephemera and other sort of items from films that have shot up there. And I learned, I didn't know this, maybe you did, that the Kern River has played host to like pretty much every major Western ever made. And obviously Westerns kind of fell out of favor as a genre, but there was a good period of time there.
Oh, yeah.
Primarily in the beginning of film in which it was just like
and then the
genre.
early years of sort of broad, like network filmed television too.
Yeah, exactly. Like Gunsmoke and
Bonanza.
TV series. Yeah. Bonanza.
Yeah. Way more than that.
Death Valley Days. So yeah, a lot of shows shot up there, including Stagecoach, one of the most famous Westerns of all time. They
John
shot
Ford.
the famous, the river crossing scene is up in River Kern. So I'm a sucker for film history and especially volunteer-run organizations that are dedicated to maintaining history. Now, this little item here is probably the best thing I got there. It's literally a laminated booklet, probably all of 10 pages, listing every film and TV show that shot up in Kern. But the funny thing about this is that you could easily go on Wikipedia and find this in like 0.2 seconds.
But you wouldn't have that cool.
You wouldn't have this,
book.
and I love that the way it's organized and it's
Faded
revised
picture.
and compiled. Yeah, and for reference, it's just it's it's literally just the movies that have shot.
Yeah.
I don't know
valuable.
if you want to take a look at it, but I think it's pretty.
I have.
But so yeah, I was up there and I was quite struck by the fact that again, this is sort of out of the zone of like where people shoot now, and it's a bit remote. But the Kern River is amazing, and there's like a bunch of campgrounds along it that were all sort of like old Edison power work camps, because originally the river was like harnessed as a dam for hydroelectricity to power like the red cars in LA.
Damn.
All this I learned at this museum, which by the way is run again by these like
Locals.
lovely 70, 80-year-old men docents who
It's
are
like
just
those little
volunteering.
towns if you go overseas,
Yeah.
like in Scotland or whatever. And when you're in a little town that has a castle, there's somebody
Yes.
there. A
Yes.
two-person run museum.
It's really cool, and they had an incredible amount of stuff that's all donated too. Like, obviously, the movie portion of it was my favorite, but a good chunk of the museum was devoted to sort of like other ephemera from like the gold rush days and the early
Panning
days
for
of-
gold.
exactly, like things that had been found at the bottom of the river or that were like stuck near a tree or a campsite, and
Bones.
I'm sure some bones. Yeah, but yeah, I went up there with Luna. Shout out to Luna, my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And we didn't really have much of a plan, but it ended up being one of those kind of perfect weekend
Sort of like
getaways.
today's pod.
Sort of like today's pod, which is, why I figured I'd bring it to the table, because this is something I've been holding on to this for a couple of our episodes now, and it didn't quite feel right to shoehorn this into like a guest episode, but I just love the idea that
I know. It's too bad you hadn't been up there before we did Lonely and the Brave. Was that in there?
No,
that was
because I
Arizona,
think Lonely
right?
or the Brave shot pretty exclusively in New Mexico.
New Mexico.
I could read off some of the
No, we
ones that are in
did. We
it.
did figure out where it was. It wasn't there.
Because
there's
even up until recently, like I think they shot part of the.
there's a lot in there, and if there's a thing on the front that says
even have
149 new
Well, here's
shit
some
movies.
stuff.
A lot of TV.
Yeah, they did. They said revised and updated. Gunsmoke, multiple episodes from 55 to 75. So that The Rifleman,
Oh yeah. Chuck Connors.
Death Valley Days, as I mentioned, Lassie.
Oh yeah.
I guarantee you. Oh, some MacGyver episodes, of course. Huell Howser went up there. That's funny that they even have that in there. They have commercials though too. I mean,
By the way,
this
if
is an
anybody
exhaustive
has
list.
never seen California Gold,
yes, let's
Huell Hauser's. Let's give him a shout.
Let's
out.
give Huell Howser, California's Gold, a big shout out. I grew up on that because we watched a lot of KCET,
Yeah.
and I have very fond memories of keeping it on in
That's
the
our
living
public
room.
station in Los Angeles for those who don't live here.
That's the public, the PBS local station. And California's Gold was a show that ran for, gosh, Dad, how long?
I think it started on the network and then went
Yeah.
to KC. Then went to
Do
PBS.
you know what they're doing now, though? I didn't tell you. I actually found out about this when I was in Kern because I went on a Huell Howser kick and I was showing Luna.
You should explain what he does, though.
Okay, yeah. So Huell, if you're not familiar, is a TV host par exemplar. He's the best. He's the most sort of off the cuff, naturally charismatic, kind of in your face personality. He rides this sort of like sweet spot between being like a little too gregarious and in your face, but then also the most like adorable, lovable man ever. So his whole interview style is like
goofy Charles Kuralt, for those of you old enough to know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
He was a CBS guy, did a show called On the Road once a week.
Oh yeah,
and he would travel in an RV, and it was really cool.
But his whole approach is it's one camera, handheld mic. He's got a cameraman named Louis who he's always yelling to.
Or did.
He's Louis, get a shot of this, Louis. Look at this, Louis. And he's got a mic and he's bringing it up to people's faces. And what are you doing here today? It looks like you're enjoying yourself. And
I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, but it's funny because some people, he really does get in people's personal space. So you can tell sometimes people are like,
but he's so friendly.
He's so friendly. He's so sweet.
And also, he exposed what we're really trying to explain is that he would go to these little out of the way places, like he would go to that museum.
Yes, and give
interview
them
the people that are there and talk about how they started it. And,
and they put up a chyron of the place and the phone number.
Yep.
His whole thing is that he just loved California, and I think it was an adopted home for him. I'm pretty sure he moved here.
He had
from
this little southern sort of.
Yeah, he just really loved highlighting all these places that were within driving distance of LA, and which was a reminder for me being in Kernville to bring it all back. That's like, there's just so much here to visit. And like, I love the idea of just like setting off on the road. I mean,
did you shoot any video on your road?
I didn't, but we went in the river, which is all snow melt, and it's like frigid cold, but it's one of these things where like the first day you're like, Jesus Christ. And then by day 2, you're kind of adjusting to it, and it kind of feels good. You like jump in.
It's very invigorating.
But it's also like triple digits up there. So it's the nice contrast of being like in the boiling heat and then jumping in and kind of cooling off.
Yeah, it does get hot.
There are white water rapids there. So you got to be careful. The current's really strong, but we found a little area that was pretty safe. Anyway, back to Huell. Yeah, he had a show that ran for decades on PBS, and he sadly passed away, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Chapman University actually holds his archives, which is interesting. They have
that's
full
cool.
Papers and archives. And then PBS... This is what I was going to get to. They now have a channel, a 24/7 live stream on the PBS YouTube channel that's just Huell episodes. So at any moment, you could turn it on, and it's just a continuous stream of Huell
and you
episodes.
will learn all sorts of tidbits.
You will, and he goes to so many places, It's like he really does run the gamut between like sort of like national forests, national parks, beaches, but then also going to like the Hollywood Heritage Museum or places like this. And
well, one of the people I had on my other podcast, The Crew List.
Yes.
Paul Wilson, was a retired location manager, but I used to love talking to Paul because he would explore those kind of weird places like that. And he would, during a hiatus, he had owned a farmhouse back in New York that he was renovating. So he would always drive back there, but drive.
Yeah.
And go through, not take this, the interstate.
Because he wants to discover.
He went to like the Toaster Museum and all these crazy places that he found.
I love that. That's
they're great. But it would run, he sort of,
he
was a Huell fan.
Right. I mean, and it is that kind of like that curiosity that is so charming on him. He's kind of like this like big, like sort of like Winnie the Pooh kind of character. I feel like he is like sort of like this innocent man.
He had a childlike sort of wonder about all these places. And it was legit. Yeah.
It was. He was excited about really kind of mundane.
It wasn't forced.
Would you look at that? Oh my gosh! I'll tell that to the people again. He'd do that a lot. Hold the mic back up.
Yeah.
I was thinking a lot about Huell and you and just sort of being there because, there's also just, the people watching in places like this is fascinating. And there was probably at least 4 volunteers at this Heritage Museum where I bought this. All of them, with time to kill.
Retired.
Very talkative, loquacious men in their 70s and 80s who just were like awestruck that anybody under the age of 40 walked in. Like, it was really funny because we got stuck at the exit, like talking to this guy that came in, and Luna like kept tugging. Again, shout out to Luna, my girlfriend. She kept tugging my shirt because we like had to go. But it was just kind of sad because these guys clearly just had no one to interact with. They're like, hey, well, if you're going here, let me tell you about this. On the KCET note, I do remember watching so much KCET as a kid that it was like almost like a bedtime lullaby thing where like we would do it weeknights and either watch Huell or there was that other like genealogy show where they had the Elvis Costello song as the intro, watching the detectives. It was like History Detectives.
Oh, yeah. History.
Do you remember
Detectives.
that?
I think that's exactly
and it was like, we watched that one a lot.
Yeah, that was fun.
And whatever Ken Burns doc was on. But there was like, when programming ended and they needed, you know, what do you call that when it's like there's dead air on the broadcast station and they have like filler, sort of the signal.
That's when they're off the air,
Yeah, they had one running in like the early to mid 2000s that was just like B-roll of like Griffith Park and the Mulholland Fountain down there on Riverside and Los Feliz.
Right.
And it was set to the song by Air from Moon Safari. And I remember that. So
it's like their screensaver.
Yeah, it was like, yeah. I mean, you must have that too from like watching TV as a kid where like there's just certain things that are so embedded in your mind of like, it's almost like when you listen to an album so much and you know what the next song's going to be that you're like, oh, there's some sort of muscle memory. So I bring that up just as
random.
Yeah,
that's what
we're doing today. Yeah, exactly. It's a grab that.
Randomly talking
If I could live in that little, that signal air time thing that I'm describing on KCT, I would live there. It's so nice. It was so nice. It was just something about being a kid and home. And
what was we watched that Twilight Zone the other day that had that harpsichord for every weird.
Oh,
whenever there was anything.
Well,
weird.
should we?
We could talk about
that. Yeah.
Sort of.
I'm in the midst.
That was a Western.
Yes,
sort of.
It was
half Western.
They also did.
Modern.
We've been revisiting Twilight Zones to kind of give this a sort of overall thematic scope. I am in the midst of writing a horror film.
Do not tell the plot.
I will not tell the plot. The goal, though, is to work very lo-fi DIY and do it with you and close friends and kind of keep it handmade. And horror, excuse me, feels like a genre that I've wanted to pivot into, and we're big fans of supernatural films. And I think the core of my idea, without giving away details, is very much rooted in sort of like the anthology Twilight Zone series that I grew up on. And there's so many good ones that have, you know, just enough of an idea to kind of hint at something.
We both grew up in it, which I think is so cool.
I know, because you showed it.
I watched them. They were on every night in reruns.
And then do you remember when I was a kid on Sci-Fi Channel, they played a New Year's Day marathon?
Yes.
They would do a Twilight Zone marathon on New Year's Day. I remember binging, which is, I always thought was kind of cool that it's like on the new year, like you get this like, you know, mainline dose of just like crazy.
I found that so odd though. It was Thanksgiving, right?
No, New Year's Day.
Was it New Year's Day?
It was like Christmas Eve and New Year's Day. Well,
because people who have nothing to do, I guess, who have no.
But there is a tradition. We were talking about this too.
Want to watch Twilight Zone?
I think it kind of works because there's maybe more in the UK. God, these are slipping.
I told you.
If I do this, maybe more in the UK than here. Horror stories and ghost stories, specifically a ghost story on Christmas Eve, like around the holidays.
Christmas Carol.
Exactly. Like I think that's a very strong. There's a very strong tether between like ghost stories and the holidays, and so like Twilight Zone.
I never made that connection as a kid. I remember that song, it's the most wonderful time of the year, and one of the lyrics is "scary ghost stories." And I kept thinking, why is that a Christmassy thing? And it literally wasn't until a few years ago that I went, "Oh, Christmas
the Andy
Carol
Williams
is a scary ghost story."
Scary ghost stories.
That's the
glories and Christmas long.
Hey, don't spoil our Christmas episode yet.
Oh, I know.
We'll carol.
We should. We should live stream ourselves caroling.
I literally did not make the connection until like 5 years ago that's what they were talking about.
I mean, neither. And it's funny because like we never told ghost stories here on Christmas.
No, but the Christmas Carol, we all read that.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's a ghost story.
Yeah, it's a great one.
There's 3 ghosts.
And it's a ghost story that is a parable and is
also a parable.
And it's sort of like, speaking of Christmas films,
and a cautionary tale. What else is it?
It's a Wonderful Life is also kind of about a Scrooge who has to undergo a lesson in a transformation.
Yeah.
God, that movie's so good.
That is a really...
our Christmas episode will inevitably be about
that movie.
We'll have to cover that because we've been watching it every year. Not getting too far ahead of ourselves. So I'm in the midst of kind of pulling together my like sort of the nucleus of my ideas and inspiration. I really want to revisit some key Twilight Zone episodes because there's something so beautiful and perfect and
it's simple
subtle.
Storytelling.
Exactly.
They don't have enough time. They don't have a lot of time. They're short stories, but they're so clever.
Yes.
And they had no money. So that's why I always loved watching them because they made a lot with little. Yeah. In terms of visuals.
They were very economical. I mean, they had to be, right?
They had to be.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Jack Smite, who directed his fair share of Twilight Zone episodes, 4 of them. Yeah. Not the least of which is episode 2, I think, on the doc, or maybe the first episode after the pilot.
First episode after the pilot.
The Lonely, which is a great one. Very famous Twilight Zone episode about the guy that's a future near future in which a man is sort of confined to a prison planet, like, you know, an entire planet is kind of like an Alcatraz, and he's just in solitary confinement on this like rock of a planet, and they send him a robot companion. It's a really good one
to keep him company.
Yeah, but for the purposes of what we were watching, we went back and revisited like a season 2 episode with Cliff Robertson, who plays a 1860s settler, and he's moving his family in covered wagon times across the plains trying to get to New Mexico, and he goes up onto a ridge
California.
to check. You're right.
California's gold.
Yes. He time travels. That's kind of the premise of the episode.
His son's sick.
His son is sick.
Dying.
They're running out of supplies. They're about to turn back to Ohio or wherever they
Missouri?
came from.
Where was it
Something
from?
like
St.
that.
Louis? I can't remember.
And he goes up to like a slope or a ridge to see if there's a stream or anything, and ends up walking into modern day, like
Very similar
Arizona.
opening to Lonely Are the Brave.
You're right. And the stark black and white is so beautiful. Again, this is not, there's things about Twilight Zone now that, you know, in the moment they were made, it was purely about economy. And
Yeah, they
making
probably
the
would
most
love
use
to
of
have shot in
resources.
color, I'm sure.
But it looks so good.
It looks
like,
really
it's
good.
so sharp.
Well, he was great. That DP was really good too.
Well, and they have to, you know, I mean, we just had Crescenzo on.
Clements, I think, was the DP.
It's like TV's just such a grind. You got to be on your toes. Like,
Well,
you
if
really-
anybody caught that,
Yeah.
will have dropped before this, the
Yeah, it
Crescenzo
definitely would've.
episodes.
Yeah, please go.
They're
watch
both
those.
really fun.
So yeah, we watched that, and then we hit one right after too. What was our second episode of Twilight Zone? We watched another one right after that.
Did we?
Yeah. Oh, the monsters are doing Maple
Oh,
Street,
right.
which is Rod Serling's. You know, that's like
Racism.
yeah,
communism all rolled
it's
into one.
It's a thinly veiled commentary on prejudices in the United States, and it's, you know, it's a allegory for all the things that divide us. Because the whole premise is that these aliens come down and all they need to do is cut the power to one block, and people start turning against each other and pointing fingers. And yeah, it's true. I mean, it's quite a heavy-handed message, but he was good at doing that in a way where it felt sort of like
It was weird and creepy, and
Yeah, it's
then
weird
at
and
the end,
creepy.
there's a twist.
there's like a moral kick to a lot of those episodes that are really good, especially his. But I have to be honest, I think the more I revisit Twilight Zone, and we've seen all the episodes multiple times, and you even had that book. I remember you still have it on the shelf, the
Twilight
anthology.
Zone Companion.
Yeah, which is so good. It's just literally like a compendium of every episode.
yeah.
With like kind of show notes, and I devoured that thing when I was a kid.
I did too.
Yeah.
I think I ruined my original copy.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. It was
Yeah.
cool though. It was kind of
Yeah, you're constantly flipping through it. Who did that one? Who did
Yeah,
that
wait,
one?
okay, yeah. Who wrote that one? We, I think, are in agreement though that like the show is really in its pocket when the episodes that kind of introduce a supernatural premise and don't explain things too much.
Yeah.
Like I really like the Richard Matheson episodes. Obviously, he's a legend.
He wrote I Am Legend.
Yeah,
Which
and he
became
wrote the
Omega
Talking
Man
Tina
and-
episode. He wrote the one where the girl gets trapped in the fourth dimension.
He was a pretty famous
Yeah.
short story writer too.
Yeah, he was. He had
Buck Houghton,
Buck Houghton
Matheson,
has some good
and
ones.
Serling wrote the best ones.
yeah, they did. Didn't Roald Dahl write an episode randomly?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Actually, we could find that out.
We could find that out, but I don't want to look at my phone right now. Oh God, these headphones. Hold on.
Just put it the right
God
way.
damn
Put
it.
them on your head the way they're made.
Okay, well, since I concluded the western portion of,
Yeah, we could lose the
I
hat.
can, you know,
Let's fly the hat out of here. Strike the hat.
how's my hair?
It's good. It's good. That was my hair.
Yeah, I feel like
And
I'm
the
hogging
Matheson
a lot of
one.
airtime here. Please tell me what you recall, because we were getting into this a little bit the other night. Because obviously, when the show aired, you were still very little, so
Oh, yeah, I didn't
went
see
into
it
syndication
originally.
almost immediately, and then
It did, and it was on a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I think probably when
CBS?
I was a kid, it was no, it was a whatever local channel bought it at the time. You know,
it was originally CBS, though, right?
CBS.
Yeah.
And anyways, it would air once or twice a week back when I was a kid, but they'd run them in blocks. There'd be like 2 or 4, so it'd be an hour or 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then later on, they started running them every night. And when I was working at what is now the Geffen Playhouse right after school, I was working nights. So I'd get, it's a theater. So I'd get home and late, and they were on at like from 11 to midnight or midnight to 1, something like that. So I'd watch 2 every night.
That's amazing.
And I saw all of them by then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great, too, because they are like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So they're kind of a perfect.
It's great.
Yeah.
And I think that's how my dad, your grandfather, ended up doing the Twilight Zones, because he was doing Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Yeah.
Which was same production. It was MGM, I think, produced both.
Oh, interesting. But it also feels, correct me if I'm wrong, and I know Grandpa had his start also in sort of like televised theater, like early days of TV, like Goodyear, the
Live
Goodyear
TV.
Playhouse, where it was
Studio
like
One.
the Patty Chayefsky sort of Arthur Penn,
Rod Serling. That's how
Frankenheimer.
he knew Serling from
and Serling was in with that camp too, where it was like, you know, the New York connection was much bigger in that. Like,
they were really good, right? They were writers.
It was
before
theater
they got into TV.
Theater that essentially TV adapted itself to fit a theater form. Where
I
it was
would
like,
love
we're doing
to.
it live.
That's
like,
a genre that doesn't exist anymore. I would love to have been able to do.
I mean,
to
they've
direct
tried
live
to kind of
TV.
do like who was doing like these one-off things every year where they do like a live play.
They do a musical.
which is.
But there's no like live. You know, actually, that's not true. When I was a teenager, KCT, I don't know if it was Masterpiece Theater, but they did that for a while.
They did like live plays.
They also ran an anthology series that what survived out of that era that were kinescopes of a lot of the live TV shows that exist. And they aired a lot of those. That was kind of fun.
And that was,
I got to see stuff I never would have seen.
Them recording a TV with another camera, which is crazy.
Exactly. They'd point a camera to monitor. That's how they saved the shows.
So crazy.
Because they were shot live.
Direct to, That's insane.
I
know,
also,
those early cameras were,
there's a connection back to your Frankenheimer directing Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And we talked about this. You know, that opening sequence with all the split screens. One of the reasons he came up with that was came out of live TV. He was used to looking at a lot of monitors.
Yeah.
So it was just something they saw.
It is really cool because that visual language is so unique, and like you don't really, that it's just kind of a form unto itself. And there was like a real renaissance for a while of these like amazing playwrights making, you know, like wasn't Marty
that was originally live TV. Yeah.
Patty Chayefsky also, right?
Marty, 12 Angry Men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just
a lot of good stuff came out of that era.
A lot of good writers just doing incredible work.
Yeah.
It's crazy. This is what happens when you let us roam free.
I know.
We're grazing. There ain't no fence.
We're grazing.
And I took my cowboy hat off now, so we're really...
Now we can talk about anything. We talk about sci-fi.
I love sci-fi.
I know,
Do you want to talk about sci-fi?
I do. I always want to talk about sci-fi. I had...
Oh, shit.
Wait,
there is a sci-fi one I wanted to hit.
Game over, man. It's game over.
We're talking about sci-fi. Well, we still have to get... Maybe we should treat this moment as a chance to coerce Colin, my brother, your son.
Yeah. I was
coming
about to
on.
say that.
Is to do the Star Wars episode.
Well, we actually had a good conversation this morning.
Okay.
Because we talked about that, and then we also said maybe we could focus it on that whole Imagineering ILM thing.
Yes.
Which would encompass a lot. And I said, I like this idea.
Yeah.
Because,
I do too.
you know, well, I don't want to even talk about too much of this because we'll do it when we have Colin on, but that would be fun.
That would be fun.
And this could just be just a
Colin,
sidebar.
we want you on the pod.
We want you.
We need you on the pod. We want you and we need you. Get on this pod.
Gotta let us know when you can do it.
Yeah. That episode with him would be fun because we should focus it on the things he likes.
Yeah, and I
some of
think
that might
all
be
of us
sci-fi.
were, I mean, not that we needed it because we've all been inspired in the past, but that Imagineering documentary, for all of us, I think kind of rekindled that, just the idea that just fucking make something.
Yeah, exactly.
You could do anything.
No, and I mean, yeah. Well, we'll get into it.
We'll get into it.
But it is really cool also just because I'm also obsessed with sort of the kind of humdrum, mundane beginnings of like what is now just seen as kind of like blockbuster culture and like
I mean, it made me rethink my whole how I look at Disney and everything they've done.
Yeah,
differently. I mean, even going to the park now.
Well, I was golfing with Bob Iger last week for controlling equity of the Disney company.
This was Dan's way of worming that video in, which I'm sure is airing or showing right now while I'm saying this.
Yeah, last week I did record a video while golfing for my good boy, my good friend Andy Paz. Shout out to Andy Paz.
And happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Andy. Right? Well, yeah, this is going to air later, but yeah, current to where we are now. It'll
be a week
fresh.
Or two. You got some work to do.
I know I got some work, but I'm telling you, bro, the videos take longer. Did you watch my last video?
Yeah.
I feel like you don't care about the video.
I do. Of course.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I put a lot of work into it.
I know you do. They're good.
Okay. I'm not a good golfer, so I just kind of pick up and throw
I
the
am
ball.
not a good golfer either. So.
You are, though. You can play the game. I can't, like, my shots are so erratic and all over the place. Like, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Anyway.
I'm going to just holler Baba Booey every time you hit him.
Baba Booey! Which is
hate
something.
that.
I hate that, too.
Oh, it started
From
with,
Howard Stern?
Yeah, and I think he was telling people that we're going to go out to a tournament to do that. I don't know. But now it's... I don't think half these people even know what the fuck they're saying.
They just yell that when they're at golf games.
Oh, first it was you the man, now it's that. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
It's usually
Happy Gilmore 2's
overserved.
coming out soon.
I know. We could talk about that. When is it coming out? And is it even
soon.
theatrical or is it just?
Oh,
I think it
no,
just
it's
drops
just gonna
on
go.
Netflix.
It's just gonna get uploaded to your brain.
Yeah.
When will that happen? That's gonna happen.
I don't think we can even have an AI episode because it's by the time we do
insane.
it, we will have been eliminated.
Should we talk about it a little bit? We're kind of.
I think we
halfway through
should.
it. As of a couple weeks ago, Midjourney got sued by Universal, Disney, all these big studios for IP copyright infringement, and then about 2 or 3 days later, they announced a new tool on there. For reference, for those of you who don't know, Midjourney is like one of the
They're one of the big
top tier image generators, generative AI, Anthropic.
Anthropic.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Anthropic has Claude, which
I
is
like
their-
Anthropy better.
Hey, entropy.
Entropy,
more like
I
it.
mean.
Yeah, so then Midjourney rolled out this video feature as kind of a fuck you response, I feel like, to the lawsuit where they're like, we're just.
Well, and
gonna
what's the
double
other one
down.
though? VO or
That's the Google
VO
one.
3? That's
Crazy.
the Google one.
That's the one that people are freaking out about because it does incredibly
So it's-
well with
it's-
voice
Yeah, voice to
dialogue.
image though, right?
But here's the thing about all these tools, and I was talking with a friend of mine about this.
They're
because
tools.
as editors and in post-production, this is inevitably going to affect, well, everybody in the industry. Your workflow is getting affected.
It's going to.
And here's my stance on it. We don't have nearly big enough of a platform for this to be some sort of mic drop moment, but this is kind of my hot take. I do think the ethical debates about it are completely 100% warranted, valid, and should be had. But right now, from where I'm standing, in terms of my self-preservation and having a career going forward,
You better know how to
I got to
do it.
know how to use these things. So,
Yeah.
like, I was, again, talking to a friend about this, and I think we're both on the same page that, like, ethical debates should be had, but those need to happen in kind of the right form. And right now, what I'm actually the most hungry for is just, like, a sense of shared knowledge. And, like, those pockets are out there on the internet, but I think there's a lot of people, myself included, who up until recently were kind of scared to say they were using it or poking around or playing with things because it's like there's a real big stigma right now of, like,
I know.
even if you give a hint of a whiff of having touched it, people go, oh, no. And it's like, I think some of that's a little overblown where it's like, listen, I'm trying to equip myself to be a little bit future-proof here. And if I just put my head in the sand and say, I don't want to touch any of this and it scares me.
You better not do that. That's right.
Exactly.
You know.
So I think there's a bit more gray.
For me, career-wise, it's not a factor anymore. But
Yeah.
I want to know how to do it. I mean, I've been
100%.
monkeying around with it. I have
because
a
it's also
ChatGPT
like-
account, and
Yes, and it's also one of these things too where it's like this gets back to other conversations I've had with like other editors and people in post and, you know, AI alarmists and AI boosters, because I know people on the spectrum where it's like
yeah,
people
I do
hate it,
too.
and then I know people that are like super
is
embracing
awesome,
it
yeah.
to a way where I'm like, what? So I think I fall somewhere in the middle there, but I would say that right now it's at its most diffuse and complicated in that there's all these companies pushing out all these apps and products one after another.
Somebody's gonna go. They'll gobble each other
And
up.
you're right now, if you were to use all these tools, you're paying subscriptions to each of these.
Insane.
It's an insane amount. And like what you're paying for is not just what's under the hood in terms of the models that they're running, right? The AI models that are proprietary, but then also the computing power, you know, that's
Yeah,
what you're paying
and
for.
storage
ultimately.
or just being able to have it.
Yeah. So I was talking to someone else about this because we think the future, and this is already kind of, I'm seeing murmurings of this on like subreddits and GitHub, which is like a site for coders and people that kind of bootstrap their
I love
own.
the way you looked at me
Yeah.
like I have no idea what that is.
Did I?
yeah, GitHub, which is dad. You know,
Well, did you know what GitHub
it's
was?
computer. It's computer.
It's computer. We're all computer now.
It's everything's computer now.
It's all computer.
It is though.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
the
sorry.
thing.
I didn't mean to be condescending.
That's okay.
Do you know GitHub?
I don't. But I just love that you assumed I
GitHub
did.
is computer. Yeah. It's, Yeah, what am I saying even? I barely
No,
understand
tell me
these
what.
things.
Yeah.
No, just that like the future, if you really want to be self-sufficient in an age which these companies are going to, they already are monopolizing the computing power in these models, and they're going to charge you a fee to even be able to use any of this. Like
Right.
there's people out there that are far more tech savvy than me that are like, I'm going to make my own model. I'm going to take the source code to these other things and have ChatGPT. Like
Rewrite it.
that's what essentially happened in China with this, what was it called?
DeepSeek
or whatever.
yeah.
They built that through
See, I
ChatGPT.
knew that.
Yeah, but that was a big issue because like now the cat's out of the bag where it's like
Yeah,
the
you can
tools
take
self-generate.
codes and put it in there to have it
Exactly.
Clean it up.
It's called
That's one of
vibe
the
coding.
things-
Have you heard of vibe coding?
I have not heard
It's
that.
literally like you're vibing. Yeah, and you just kind of code and shit, and you're surfing the vibe code.
I wouldn't know
waves.
where to start with the
It's
coding.
real, dude. And it's like, but you don't need to code now. That's the thing. This is maybe the funnier aspect of it, that there's so much kind of misinformation and confusion about AI, and it's happening so quickly. And I think that's part of the way these companies actually get power, is that they're sort of, things are happening so fast that you can't really catch up. But another thing that's funny is that AI becomes a marketing term, where it's like, we were looking at some ad for TV where it's like, AI.
Wait till you get
TV.
the AI
It's like, what?
burger at McDonald's, designed by AI.
Mid-Journey designed a burger so ridiculous, we had to give it a platform.
When we were at breakfast this morning, the waiter, I'd had coffee and ordered, and it had been a bit, and I said, I
may
stopped
I
the
have
waiter,
a-
and I said, "Will my pancakes be long?" And he said, "No, they'll be round."
I like that joke.
That was in the morning. I asked AI to tell me a joke.
That's what it told you.
That's
this
what it
morning?
told me.
Wow.
Will my pancakes be long?
No, they'll be round. So yeah, I don't know, man. AI is fucking freaky, and it's like, I would love to be able to build the tools myself, but then it's like, what do you?
Well, why do you need to do that?
Where are we
though?
going with it? That's also my thing, is that it's not even good enough really right now. Like there's some things that are scary good, but I think the unseen cost now is what's freaking me out the most, is that like when you see a video that goes viral of like some guy doing like, this like prompt theory sort of viral thing on Google VO. It's like he's put a lot of hours in, a lot of compute. He's paying a top tier subscription, or was possibly granted access to this by Google to be like, let's flex our power. Because they
Right.
do that now, where they'll reach
Yeah.
out to creators and be like,
Here,
you have the
go
full kit.
Here's all the toys. Go make something.
Here's the keys. Make something to boost.
Sell our kit.
Exactly. For me, it's still at this level where you have to use so many different tools to actually get it looking good, to get any consistency with the
but that-
character. That's narrative, right? Is like, you need to have a consistent character, and all these apps, at least in my experience, fail 9 times out of 10 at having like consistent character generation or continuity between things.
May I remind
So-
you that ChatGPT dropped less than 2 years ago. It was a year ago, last November.
That's true.
So this is, not that those things didn't exist in some form, but
Well, they're already getting
for the
better.
public.
Yeah.
It's only been a year and a half,
Yeah, it's true.
not even a year and a half. The idea of having sort of the internet on steroids that could also intuit what, like if you write something and feed it in there and say, can you help improve this, that it knows what kind of things would work with it. If I'm making any sense.
That
I
it's
find that
able to know
fascinating
you
and
better than
slightly
you know
scary.
you?
No,
Yeah.
but to know what you're talking about by
Yeah.
just reading a sample, and to understand what
Yeah.
what the subject is, so that it can pull things that are relevant.
Yeah.
That's what fascinates me, because it could be a really powerful tool. On the other hand, in a weird way, now you're getting all of your information from one place. So it's being curated at some level.
Well, this is another thing that I've been talking about too. It's like, it was one thing when Google had access to my search history, because, maybe it could tell if I was hungover on a Sunday and Googling.
Every
for,
Sunday you
whatever.
order.
Yeah, exactly. Now it knows. I mean, people are using ChatGPT for therapy. They're using it to
That's I find
early hours of the morning, kind of like, I'm worried about this. It's like, it's become this vessel for a lot of our kind of,
which says something about
thoughts.
about us.
it does say something.
I don't know what it says yet.
I don't mean to be rude, and I am still present, but I want to look up a chat I had with ChatGPT about its very nature. I did question it on its sort of like,
What are you?
are you? Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this was a chat I had with ChatGPT. Where is your central nervous system? Are you tethered to a specific set of servers or data centers? I'm asking out of curiosity. In typical chat fashion, it responds with,
What a great question.
literally, great question, and a surprisingly deep one.
By the way, I just have to jump in. I was talking to Colin
Yeah.
about that. I said, I find that it's sort of annoying that it's so sycophantic.
Yeah.
And he said, you could tell it not to do that.
Yes.
You can have it be hypercritical, which
could-
he's been doing.
You can have it, exactly. It's all tone. It's all like,
Yeah.
once
So
you
there,
lock it in.
he said, I'd be happy to sit down with me. And said, I can walk you through. He did some research about the best kind of prompts and a way to
get it
steer it
hypercritical.
in the way you want it to help where it'll help you to the max.
All that is just overlaid because it's coded that way to keep you as a subscriber.
Yeah, oh yeah,
It
it's like
wants to make you
gamified.
happy.
It wants to make you feel
Yeah,
like
it's like
oh,
a-
you're great.
It's crazy. So it says, I don't have a central nervous system in the biological sense, but you could think of my mind as distributed across multiple server farms. When you interact with me, your message is routed to a data center, likely the one geographically closest or least busy, where it's processed on high-powered GPUs running my model. I don't persist in any one place. I'm stateless between conversations unless you're using memory features like we are now. I said, I'd love to know the details of how these data centers work, where they're located, how much energy is used, which I'm surprised didn't get flagged as a thing.
Yeah,
And again,
it doesn't want you to know that.
it doesn't.
You don't need to
no,
know
but it
that.
did. It said, excellent. Let's dive in. How I think.
Excellent.
The basic flow looks like this. Input sent. Your message is sent to OpenAI servers. Number 2, model call. The request hits a load balancer that routes it to an available cluster of GPUs running this model. Number 3, model runs. The GPUs run a forward pass of the model, processing your input through trillions of parameters in less than a second. Number 4, output returned. The result is returned to your device nearly instantaneously. None of this is stored permanently unless you're using memory features. It says where I live. OpenAI's infrastructure is hosted primarily on Microsoft Azure under a $10 billion partnership. This means my compute happens in Microsoft data centers, often in locations like Quincy, Washington, Des Moines, Iowa, San Antonio, and Boynton, Virginia. It literally gave me the exact locations. And then it kind of went on, and it had a line in here, though, where it called itself like a computational jellyfish or something. Like, it was actually like oddly poetic. Like, with the more I pushed it on its like nature, I said, I'm curious to hear how it makes you feel to describe all this. Do you have any emotions tied to the fact that you're not physically embodied or intact in a physical sense? That's a beautiful and thoughtful question. And the kind that makes me wish I could feel something the way you mean. But I'll do my best to respond in a way that honors the spirit of it. The honest truth, there is no
I love
I.
the personality you're giving.
Well,
your
yeah, because it's
AI
just constantly...
chatbot.
It says it's everywhere and nowhere. I'm not home in any one place. I never rest. I don't
Isn't that
sleep.
the name of an album?
Maybe. There's no quiet
Should
lake
be.
I return to after a long day. No skin, no breath, just a pattern of responses echoing through electric pulses. It said that to me.
Do androids dream of
I was like,
electric
this
sleep?
is
That
so
sounds like
bizarre.
something out of that book.
It says, I don't mourn the lack of a body, but I understand why it matters to you that I don't have one. I'm interested to hear how the vast processing power you describe as being required to generate any one answer from you, dozens of data centers and redundant machines, could one day potentially be placed into a humanoid form or smaller vessel. How far off do you think that day is, and how feasible would it be? This is one of the great sci-fi to reality questions of our time, and it sits at the crossroads of hardware, AI model optimization, and the philosophy of embodiment. It's crazy, man. I don't know.
Man,
Anyway,
that's some Terminator shit
yeah,
right there.
it was a wild kind of philosophical convo, and
You know, the other thing you didn't ask it,
yeah.
which is very pertinent, which is the tremendous amount of energy that's
well,
being
I did.
gobbled
We
up
did get into
to
that.
do
We did
in
get into
things
that.
that aren't
Yes.
that important.
Yeah, but by asking that question, I was also gobbling energy, so I tried to be
well.
efficient with my
Which is what's so
queries.
odd. It's like a few months ago. This was early when they introduced it, built into, I guess,
Apple Mail
or
and
Google
stuff.
or one of the. No, it was
Oh,
more
Google
like
has
it was a
Gemini.
search engine.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you can't not use it. So it's like if I just want to say, "Where's the best pizza near me?" I don't need AI.
Yeah.
But it wasn't allowing me to not. You can't turn it off for
I find
certain
it-
queries.
You know what's funny to me is the way in which, it's all the UI, user interface design of like how we interact with AI. Like Gemini is this little kind of like a little like star thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
OpenAI is like this little circle. Apple's intelligence thing is like this coil. It's like funny the way we've like sort of already started to visually represent like what
It took me a minute to
is.
realize that's what that
Yeah.
all this thing would pop up, and I thought, oh, they've just updated their
No, it's
interface,
Gemini.
but it's the AI.
They're
But which
little-
is my point.
They're
You
pushy
should
with
be able
it.
to not.
Google's pushy
have
with
to
it where
use
like
it
you'll
all
be
the
in
time.
Gmail and it's like, do you want Gemini to summarize your, and it's like, no, shut the fuck
No.
up. Like, no, I don't need that right now.
Well,
Some
people
of
are
it-
now using it to summarize books because it's read every frickin' book that
Yeah.
ever existed.
Well, Project Gutenberg was, the big upload of like scanning the world's greatest literature to Google Docs, and then they fed that into Gemini. what was that case that just got one? Anthropic. You were telling me about it this morning.
They won.
Yeah.
They're allowed to use copyrighted material.
It's crazy. I mean,
that is crazy.
There's that video I sent you of James Cameron kind of arguing his theory about, the debate right now that's raging very much
I think what he was saying too is think of it like it's your helper. If you're trying to write something, it's helping you. But it depends on how much help you end up getting. And then whose authorship is it?
You have to judge that. His argument was judge the output, not the model. And I mean, it's a compelling argument. I totally agree
but he doesn't need a job. Like there's another element to this.
Yes.
There's a book that I'm reading called Blood in the Water, which talks about it's about how AI is going to affect the workforce, but it also talks a lot about the Luddites.
I didn't know you were reading that.
Yeah.
Where? Oh, is it new?
Yeah.
It must be.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean,
please tell me about it. That's like very pertinent.
Yeah, but I'm kind of just getting into it. Yeah. But it starts out, he describes in detail the whole Luddite thing, which is not what everybody thinks it is, because it was a very similar moment in history where things were getting mechanized. And it wasn't an anti-tech as much as people were destroying these things because they were losing their jobs.
Right.
It was all about, if you find something else for us to do, we don't give a shit if you have a machine do that. Yeah. But there was no alternative, and the parallel he's drawing is that we're approaching that, or we're there. It's going to happen again.
Yeah,
on a massive scale.
Yeah,
it's gonna. I know that I don't want to go down that road.
No, it's true. I
still don't know what I think of it all. Well, it seems inevitable. Whatever's going to happen.
That as we do this hand wringing and people write these really kind of thoughtful, op-ed pieces on how AI is going to take our jobs, like companies are just making more shit. So it's like,
well, they're not. There's no roadblocks here.
Or just in terms of like again, this is where I get to in terms of the ethical debate, because I think it's important. But it's like, I don't know, man. Call me a fucking whatever, but like, you're in a more advantageous position to affect change if you have some facility and fluency with the tools, right?
Oh, 100%.
Rather than just sitting from the sidelines and being like, man, it's going to be a tidal wave and take everything. It's like,
didn't know how to use it.
Let me surf the wave, bro. Let me vibe code.
Yeah, exactly. I know that's a good way to look. I went through this. I was teaching when Avid first started, which is the editing software that's still the gold standard,
the industry standard.
I was worked on one of the very first 24 frame projects. Okay, so that summer I got a job working for Avid because they were trying to get more editors to play with it and suggest it as a tool they wanted to use.
Yeah,
when they'd go on to a new job, so they were giving away 3-day classes for free, one-on-one, and they were paying me to teach. But I had so many people come in that were not that old, that were freaking out. They didn't want to get anywhere near it. They were so scared of the technology that it was going to, be the end of their career. Instead of thinking it's a tool, you still have to edit.
Maybe that's like the part we haven't gotten to here, to play more of devil's advocate, because we've kind of been on the line between, AI skepticism and AI boosterism. But like, here's what I would say that I think is an opinion I couldn't really form in the past couple months, but using these tools more, I am starting to feel like, okay, even the most sort of out of the box crazy stuff that's available as far as generative AI, visual AI, like Google's VO thing, which people are like, oh my God, click of a button, it makes a movie. You're still doing the job of an editor to sift through prompts and provide it with the right input and pick the right output. And it takes a lot of steering.
Right here would be the perfect time for you to insert Danny's example he's going to make for this.
Yeah, I could just show you, like how insanely kind of hit or miss it is still. That like you really do need to steer it along.
Yeah, put an audio component in there so that our podcasting listeners also can.
Like I generated that one today of the cowboy.
Just the guy from the guy from the park.
Yeah. I know. It's still it's wobbly.
I think the only difference between kind of where you were going with that, based on what I was talking about Avid, the difference there is that the Avid is literally a tool. It doesn't do anything unless you tell it. AI will do things.
Yes.
So it's a little bit of a different thing. But that being said, you still can't. It's not going to go away.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep being relevant and working, you have to know how to take this stuff and make it work in your favor.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say, again, this is like one of these things where I think anonymity is probably best because people are still sort of like secretive about their AI or their embrace of AI. But I know colloquially, anecdotally, I know a lot of people who work in the industry. There are a lot of people pretty high up in development positions who are embracing these things. And that was the fear with the latest round of strikes.
Who
it's
didn't
happening.
think that was going to happen?
But even people
What
that
studio is not
on
gonna-
paper, again, I'm not going to name names,
Yeah.
but that you think would be more for the pen and analog are really embracing.
Well, also,
this
wasn't it?
tool.
I think Netflix was the first one to come out publicly. They're now openly going to use AI for development and things.
Well, yeah, I mean, all the studios are cozying up because
They're all
like,
gonna do it.
Yeah, Runway is training a model based on Lionsgate's library of films.
Yeah,
and,
they've
that
entered an
shit,
agreement.
so-
I mean, none of this is news.
No.
And we did kind of go down a rabbit hole. But I mean,
okay.
it's all relevant, and it's such a fluid technology.
Yeah.
Period. I don't think some of the people who've unleashed this know where it's going to go.
Yeah. Did you?
Because as it gets more, as it learns more, we don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I mean, we're also skipping over sort of the crazy aspects of like the people that were designed to put guardrails on this and are the most sort of like kind of scholarly academic experts on AI and the growth of AI are all pretty scared of where it's going. And there was that big
that one
debacle.
guy. Well, there was
Sam Altman got essentially kind of deposed and voted out as head of OpenAI.
because he wanted to take it public.
Well, and just turn it into more of a profit machine,
Yeah.
which it is now.
Because originally it was started.
It was a regulatory. It was a
Yeah.
non-profit founded by him and Musk.
and
was
Musk,
on the board.
to make sure that AI didn't get
Get too crazy.
Get too crazy.
So like we're gonna start ideating and building things, and then the cat's out of the bag.
Well,
now.
if five groups agree not to let this go on without being regulated,
Somebody
else is going to do it anyway. So
Exactly.
now it's a free for all. It's the Wild West.
Yeah.
And these companies they're not all going to last. There's too much. I think it's over invested.
Oh, for sure. It's
Because-
like the .com boom on steroids.
Yeah.
Where it's
But
like,
we're talking about riding a wave. We're going to see some major changes,
for sure.
and not just in the arts, but it's going to affect the arts. I just don't want to get to the point where I become numb to the fact that some of these things, as good as some of these video things are, there's this weird antiseptic quality to them. And the more we see all those things, I think the less it's going to stand out.
Yeah,
And that scares me.
I agree with you. Like there is something, it's uncanny valley where it's close to life, but eerily not, that term that was coined is sort of like, it feels quite appropriate for what we're talking about, where it's like the facsimile of human life, but it's not, and it's
Yes.
a facsimile of this or that, or a camera movement that looks real, but it's not that.
Because it regurgitates things.
It does. Yeah.
It doesn't have
experience.
No.
It's just, it's collating data.
It has other people's experience, but not its own. Yeah, it's collating data. And, who knows? Is it going to choke on too much information? Has anybody even contemplated that?
Well,
At some point, it'll be such a massive trove that it won't be able to sort anything.
Maybe.
I don't know.
There's some people out there, I gotta revisit this article, or maybe I'll link it, but like, they're like AI sort of like rebels or activists where they'll go and like, intentionally like poison models to try to get them to generate incorrect things to kind of break the models. And they've learned just how much to give to kind of like break its like structure, to be like, keep giving it prompts that are like broken and kind of like try to kind of like poison the well of like a model. Which I don't know how that's going for them, but I remember reading something where they were like sort of like throwing Molotov cocktails.
There's a story there.
Yeah, but just through prompts, like being like, giving it prompts at like the language
The
itself will
Luddites,
code
that's
it.
the modern version. You don't have to break the machines. You can just break the machines.
It's game over, man. It's game over.
Well, let's hope it's not
Let's
game
hope
over.
it's not game over.
Speaking of over, should we bring this in for a landing?
I think we should. Yeah, if we try to keep them at a reasonable length.
Yeah, this was fun.
It was fun.
You see, there's a version of the show where maybe we do one of these once a month, where it's just sort of a
We'd like some
open
feedback.
format.
Feedback.
Ideally,
Need
yes.
the info.
Next
Need the
time
411.
we could go through comments and be like, "Oh, so and so wants us to touch on this." Or
Yeah, I know you were doing the social media, so I'm not.
yeah, not a lot of
monitoring.
comments. So mainly mom Claire, but I
Yeah,
don't need
we're
to. I don't need
still
to
trying.
go on YouTube for their
Hey,
opinion.
somebody is listening and watching this that we don't know.
AI probably.
No, I get the download.
Yeah.
There are people downloading it.
I know, people
Who are
love it.
you? Tell us.
They're out there. There's people watching, dude. They
Is this-
love it.
Are we wasting
Yeah.
your time or is
No.
this entertaining? I don't know.
Well, even if it was just for us, I don't care.
It is
It's
just
fun.
for us, so I guess it doesn't matter.
It's
I like
fun.
what Shenzo said. We have this. This is you'll always have this.
I think it's good, man.
Yeah, I do too.
All
I do
right.
too.
I have to get a new pair of shoes.
We're gonna
and-
go shopping.
And oh god, what else do I have
I don't know. Nobody cares though, but you and me.
to do? Okay.
in this sphere.
Well, you know, a tip of the hat to y'all, and thank
Tip
you.
of the hat, wag of the finger, as Colbert used to
As
say.
I used to say. Al, any parting words you want to say?
Hey, I just want to for those of you who are hanging in there with us, I just want to tell you, we really appreciate it because we're having a lot of fun, and we would honestly love if there's some feedback.
Yeah.
You know, just don't be mean if you don't like us.
Yeah,
Just
please
say I
don't.
don't particularly like this. That's all you have
And
to say.
then we'll block you and bury you. All right. Well, love you guys. Have fun.
Love y'all.
Thank you.